Hey guys, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. And today we are on Reflection 348. And this is the part two of two of the book An Immense World, How Animals Senses Review the World Around Us by Ed Yong.
Great book. This book is one of those books where it'll just blow your mind in terms of getting you out of your element of your own little tiny world of not just humanity, but your own little slice of humanity, and to go experience all the other amazing life forms in this world and to go, shit, everything's pretty freaking amazing. It's such a good book, man. Just, I don't know. I when I say something is a good book, sometimes too, I often wonder if people are like, this guy's an idiot. He would recommend this book to me and I'd go read it and I'd be like, this is the most boring ass book I've ever read in my life or something. But for me, it's exciting and I like it. And that's
Well,
why.
we'll take it with an ounce of salt, you know. And what you
Right.
don't like is it's not going to be the same for everybody else. But at the same time, if you are like Chris, this is a great book. If you're not, then yeah, be the judge.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's up to you. Actually, well, that's a great segue into this particular reflection because it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder is the reflection title of this
So
particular one.
you cue that up.
Yeah. I didn't plan on
how
that.
how did you do that?
I
How
don't know.
you make me how you get me to say this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I
Uh,
don't. I really have no idea. That was
I
just
I
I
think you
did.
asked the right thing, and then you cue it up correctly, so I can cue it up for you.
I promise
Because
you that was
I
not
don't
the
know
intent.
why you say, hey, I think it's a great book, but other people don't think of it. I think you queued it up right.
I swear to God, that was not
Good
the
job. Kudos to you, dude.
Thank you. All right, so I am going to start this off with a question, and I'm going to ask you because I want to get your thoughts. Okay, so what do you think came first, a flower's beautiful colors or a bee's ability to see them? Which one do you think evolutionarily happened first?
The bee,
Why?
because I think the bee, with some kind of mutations, able to distinguish different colors, and certain flowers have that particular colors by mutation as well. So it's able to get more, I guess, spread, and that particular flower color start to dominate the other colors. The other color who are has very like dull color will die off. So the more bright colors of the flower will come, and the bees already have those, and they continue to help the flower propagate.
Right, but I think you just said both happened at the same time. You said so was the flowers colorful first, and then the bees evolved to see the colors, and then they picked the certain colors, and then those colors dominated, or did the bee, which one of those do you think happened first? The bee having the ability to see color, or flowers having color?
Well, it's hard to say because maybe a
Yeah.
color can become a purpose, or a bee have the ability to distinguish colors for a different mechanism, but because of the side effect of this thing, whatever, then it becomes more primary, just like we're talking about penicillin, right? A bee may have the ability to see colors for defending the colonies or whatever. And then it happens that it also have a secondary usage, and they see the colors and help propagate the flowers. Because in terms of flowers, unless the flower has a color, that means there are other animals beside bees that can be able to distinguish them, so they have colors first to actually affect the bees. But one of them has to have a cause of the reason why something is like that.
Right. Which one do you think it is? Happened first.
Well, if we're talking about just the animal itself, I think the flower would have to have first, because there's more than just bees.
That's what I thought too. That is not what, if you're to believe the book, The Immense World, that is not the case. So bees evolved to be able to see all different ranges of colors, and then flowers adapted to them to make themselves more appealing, and that's where the all the different colors, in these
Right. That's what
flowers
I'm saying
came.
is that something has to happen, because the bee don't naturally be able to create this ability to see colors just because it needs to go and find food. Maybe it has another
Yep.
need, right? And that
Yeah.
need has a secondary, maybe like I told you, maybe it needs to be able to see range of colors because of the ability to navigate, or the ability to defend a colony, or the ability to distinguish, their own colony from another colony. Whatever that is, there is a reason why there's a need that caused them to evolve. And then the plant, because it makes the bees attracted to these colors, that this plant can be more strong in terms of its propagation of its species, therefore becomes stronger. And then
So
more of that species becomes more prominent, dominant.
so this is what this book calls a particular phenomenon called sensory exploitation, meaning that the world adapts to what we see, hear, smell, taste to make itself more attractive to us, right? So in other words, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So like what we think is attractive and the stuff that we see,
Same thing with
hear,
the human
smell.
beings. You only choose an attractive mate, right? And whatever characters and characteristics and personality of that person, that characteristic, the physical traits and the intangible trait will pass on because you
My,
chose you
my
chose your wife for a certain reason. You don't.
so it's really, really, really funny to say that because it just makes me laugh. You ever play that game before where it's like you have like five celebrity, like I would be able to hook up with them, kind of things. I get a free hall pass, if Ariana Grande was ever like, hey, I think we should hook up, and I'd be like, oh, okay. My wife would be like, oh, that's fine. You can go hook up with Ariana Grande. I'll accept that, right? So it's just a game, right? You just like say like, here's the top five, celebrities, people that other people would know that you would cheat on your wife with, for kind of thing, right? So the irony of all ironies is my all five of my list is basically looks like my wife, and people like make fun of me. They're all small, kind of more olive skin dish and or Hispanic or Italian or something like of that like coloring. They're all tiny. I'm a person myself. I'd hate like Heidi Klum is like hideous to me, like gigantic blonde women are like, ugh, like it's I see them and I'm like, I don't know, like that doesn't look good. Like, and then, my friends are like, oh my God, Scarlett Johansson's like, the hottest chick that's ever, been made in this world. I'm like, I don't think she's attractive at all. I could, and then there's like, all these other my point being is like you're exactly what you're saying. I clearly have a type, and it's like I like my mind, my eye, immediately is drawn to that and it, is attracted to that for whatever reason. I don't know. And it seems like that's all that I end up seeing in this world. Like you could have the hottest, tallest, blondest, most beautiful Kate Uptons of the world walking past me all day long, and I wouldn't even notice them. And I'd be like, oh, whatever. Like, they're not really that cool.
Yes, it's the ability for them to pass on the genes in the ability to attract you, right? So if there are more people, I mean, the thing is, more people are in a certain characteristic category of sort. Like me and you, we look at a certain type of woman differently,
Yeah,
and that's the same thing as having a flower, and they will adjust. Meaning, hey, for example, the size of a woman is actually one of the physical traits that male attracted to. It's
of
not
course.
too. It's not too big. It's not too small either. It's like in the size of like maybe 5'2" to 5'8". You look at those, right?
Yeah.
Like anyone who is like above six, like 6'0", 5'11", or 6. Even though they say model is 5'11"
Right.
and 6'0", those guys don't really have too many options.
Well, that's not true, but somebody will because it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right?
But I'm talking about a generalizations of human male category. I just said that,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Right.
because and that's because we're talking about evolution. We're talking about like okay, what genes passes on because these Kate Upton of the world, they become extinct because only few males will go for them, and then you know what I mean? Because yes, there are people who are gonna like them. That's
Right.
fine. But for them to pass on genes like their kids and their kids and their kids, eventually the Kate Upton characteristic gonna start to dwindle,
Right.
right? Because you have a lower percentage of matches. Therefore, you're not gonna be able to carry on that more and more because if you have, let's say you have the true and the Christians of the world, right? You're gonna have like 2 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids, right? They're gonna
Yeah.
start dominating the world, and their kids will have 5 kids, 6 kids. Right?
Right.
If the kid up has 1 kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Makes
And
sense. Yeah.
eventually you're gonna break the game.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. All right. So I think we're on the same page with where I'm going with this, right? It was one of those aha moments of like the whole sensory exploitation, right? What you find attractive in this world, the world becomes attractive. It just opens up for you. Like it finds you. It already is attractive and it finds you. Everything else just kind of gets blocked out. Kind of similar with the bees having the ability to see certain colors, and then all of a sudden they see all these colors in these flowers, right? And then they adapt, and the world turns, ends up exploiting their senses, and you see what you want to see, right? Well, so for
And I
me,
would say exploit away.
so I found a lot of like beauty in this sentiment because you never knew me before my daughter, and
Right.
the stuff that I do all the time now, which is like run every day or read and write every single day, you and I talking about this stuff and having these conversations about this kind of topic every single day of my life, like these weren't things that I found beauty in before, because that was not what the paradigms, that was not what my life was, and like as a matter of fact, like I've told you this before, the idea of me running 10 miles. Like I actually remember my wife would do a lot of half marathons, not a lot. She's probably run probably like a half dozen half marathons in her life or something
Mhm.
like that. And I remember multiple times during those half marathons, I would like her friends would ask me that she was running with. They're like, are you ever gonna do this with your wife? And I'm like you're athletic, you're in shape, like what? Like, and I'm like, fuck no, I'm never fucking doing that. I was like, I'll be on the sidelines, with mimosas and cheering you guys on as you go run by, and I'll be a cheerleader. And that's exactly what I did. I remember one year she was running the mini marathon here in Indianapolis, and her and her mom and I and her sister, I prepared a cooler full of like mimosas and champagne bottles and orange juices and different kinds of juices or whatever. I went out there, we camped out, got a good spot on the route, and we just popped champagne all day long and drank mimosas, waiting for people to run by. I was like, this is my jam. Like, this is what I would rather be doing. I mean, I don't want to
Mhm.
fucking go run 13.2 miles, and I'm like, that's stupid, like whatever. Or 13.1, sorry. Anyway, so this and writing, like, never, I don't think I've ever, besides writing business case studies or writing emails or whatever, like, I mean, I've never creatively written in my life, ever. Not I can't even, I don't even know that I ever did it in school. Did we have creative writing assignments in school? I don't even know. I mean, like, maybe
I avoid those classes.
I did too. Just write for fun. Like, I would write
I
for
don't want to write because I had to because somebody forces to me to write, and
exactly.
that's like the chore. Like it's like the I guess the most hated and most procrastinated chores I've ever
Yep.
taken on. I hate those assignments, like
I
right.
agree. I was actually always one of those classes that I always got A's in, of like any writing or English classes. Like, 'cause I've always had the skills to do it. It just wasn't appealing to me, I just never had fun doing it. I just didn't creatively write, right? Unless, like I said, it was for like a business or like a marketing thing or a business kind of related case studies, whatever. That stuff I did a lot of creative writing and I enjoyed that. But like I never did it for just random day-to-day stuff. So saw no beauty in that at all in any way, shape, or form. And then reading, learning every day. Like, I mean, I've always loved learning every day, but it was more like learning from like politics or something, or reading the Wall Street Journal, or reading some article about a case study about business or something like that. Like that was what I always loved to learn about. I like reading a book for fun, like just a book, just to randomly of my curiosity. I mean, it had probably been 10 years. The last book that I can remember, before Amelia, that I remember reading was Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. That was probably
Hmm.
the only fucking book that I can remember reading in like a 10-year period of time between my last book that I read in college, which was The Curious Enlightenment of Professor Karatat, to the Outliers book. It was probably 8 years, and then it was probably another 4 or 5 years before I read another book, right? Paradigms changed. This is me before my daughter. After my daughter, everything was ugly. I didn't see life sucked. If I saw vivid colors, reading a case study for business or trying to start a new marketing plan or whatever, that was something that was appealing to me. I didn't give a fuck anymore about any of that stuff. Everything, pretty much everything in my world died. But as things were starting to regrow again, I found myself doing these activities. I don't know why. I was like just trying to stay as balanced for my family as I possibly could, just because we were going through such a tough time for Amelia, for my wife, for myself, just to try to fucking make it through. And these were the things I ended up doing, right? And all of a sudden, as time went on, I started to find more and more beauty in these things. And it seemed like now all different kinds of books were opening up before me, all different kinds of creative writing things that I wanted to write about, all different opportunities to meet people like True and talk about this kind of stuff. And, then go play more games, the games that I love to go play, or go leave a job to go do a Club Any Light program to help mentor people to have, whatever. Yeah. All these things that I before would have been like, that's fucking stupid. People don't do that, right? Like, I don't like running. Like, I don't like doing any of this stuff. Anyway, it was along the way, I started to realize, obviously, as you know, like the whole living for two thing with me, that I wasn't just doing this alone anymore. Like when I was doing this stuff, I was like, hey, I actually kind of do really like this stuff. And then when I had that feeling, then I figured out who was with me doing the stuff with me every single day. And that was my daughter. And that was my way of figuring out, that was the big aha where I was like, oh, okay, this is now a beautiful thing because I get to spend time with my daughter, and this is something that I will never stop doing because this is a way for me to stay connected with her. And lo and behold, here's where we are. It really is kind of like the alchemist, right? The universe, when you want something, the whole universe aligns to try to make it happen, right? That is the case, right? Like you just start seeing different colors. You start seeing, it's the sensory exploitation. Like, I mean, I now know what I think is beautiful in this world, and I know what I care a lot about. And that found me. I don't know how that found me. I don't really care at this point in time, but I see a lot of beauty in that now. And I see a lot of beauty in my relationship with my daughter these days. And that's something that I really, really value. And I'm going to keep doing that. Love to get your thoughts.
So I think a lot of times, because we as human beings have the ability to adapt, right? And I think this is a little bit different than the bees, because the bees, they already have like one particular sensory, and the basic instincts are very, very like clear, and they're fixed. Like, hey,
Right.
I have the ability to sense colors, and I'm looking for flower because the flower has nectars and whatever. But because human being has the ability to adapt, sometimes your circumstances make you adapt to something that isn't you. And I see this a lot in the modern life today, is because people do things just because they thought that's what they want. And that's a big difference. I thought I want to be this business person, this leaders of sort, or whatever. We've been trained and been conditioned to think a certain way. We've been taught in school to be in line, right? To be in one place until you are giving permission by an authority for you to act on something. You are not supposed to act out of your own volitions, especially in the Asian culture. You're not supposed to do it. You're not supposed to inconvenience anyone. One of the biggest differences I see in terms of the Asian culture and American culture is that you're not supposed to ask questions, because when you ask questions, you inconvenience somebody, right? But you think about that. When you were a young kid, when I was a young kid, right? I, for whatever reason, been conditioned to feel bad about asking questions, so I don't ask questions. But when I get older, I wish people would ask me questions. I'm willing to give you answers that I know, and to me, that is against human nature. It's against.
Yeah, I agree.
It's against who we're supposed to be. But because we are conditioned to think in a certain way, and our adaptability makes that, okay, this is why you and I get to the point where when we grow up, we say, hey, grits, grinds, and eat the frog first. It sounds, it sounds, that's the right way to do things.
I can
did it.
embrace the suck and find beauty in that a little bit.
I did it to the point where, I realized that I'm 40 years old, and I said, what the fuck am I doing? Right? And to me, this is what I'm
This
saying
sucks.
is,
I embrace it, and it does suck.
it does suck. But the thing is, the sad part is that to some people, they have never realized the suckiness of it. They continue to do, because your strength is also your weakness. Because if somebody has more willpower, right, than me, then they wouldn't have realized, hey, it sucks, but I'm strong. I can endure it. So they endure, and to the point where, well, you're at the end of your life. Well, to endure, can you do it? Yeah, I can endure for another couple of days, but I get no chance to reverse course.
Right.
So having a strong will is a good thing, which can also be a bad thing. So I think the beauty is in the beholder. Sometimes that could be manipulated in a way based on our strength, which is
That's the
ability to
sensory.
adapt.
That's the sensory exploitation.
Sensory exploitations.
Right. What if you're told to embrace the suck? All of a sudden, the world around you will adapt to. You'll hear Jocko Willnicks of the world. Will be your voices. That you follow, the people that you meet along the way,
and you will hold David Goggins' statue.
And say hard, hard, and you're like, what do you mean, man? Like, how are you going to tell me to go run 100 miles on 2 broken shins, and you think that's good advice? Like, well, you'll find out what you're made of, you'll really find out what the limits of human potential is. Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. Like, I mean, you found beauty in running 100 miles in the desert sun, at 120-degree heat. That
But that's the sad part though, Chris. That's what I'm saying is the sad part is we are in a trance. If you were get into a time machine and go back to my 20-year-old self, and you can convince this knucklehead of a 20-year-old to see the way you see today, I don't think you can do it. It's
No,
impossible. Like, I
100%.
don't have the answer to that. I got to go hard because I got to stay hard, right?
Stay hard. Get hard and then stay hard. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
I mean,
how did you get
was
out of it?
what was my well, I mean, an atomic bomb, right? Like, and I don't mean that to be a good thing, but like, because like my dream, what I saw a lot of beauty in was trying to start a company, a software company. Go get funding, go the VC route, go do your 100 pitches until you can find that one person that you magically, believes in you, like whatever, right? Like, I mean, like, you know how hard it's been for me to set up this pickleball venture?
How hard?
Yeah, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how challenging it's been for me to secure the financing, to get people to help me. It's been almost comically easy. Like to go, well, I have people beating down my door saying, hey, I'll help. How can I help? I want to help. Hey, how can I help? And I'm like, okay, like, let me figure it out. It's almost like comical versus the other side of it where I had to go beat down people's doors to be like, I got the greatest idea ever. I just don't believe that you have the experience to do blah, 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 blah. And we've done this and this and this. And I'm pretty sure that this is like, only $100 million opportunity. And we only look at $1 billion, things like, and you're like, okay, fine. I guess I just got to keep trying. Gotta go find that right VC that'll give me that opportunity so I can put on my LinkedIn profile that I'm the CEO of a company that raises funds for a living, because that's really what most venture capital companies are. They're basically just show other people, hey, I can raise money. I just got my Series A funding. Like, that's what they celebrate. Most businesses would go, we're profitable. We have a lot of customers. This is amazing. No, not in that world. It's like, we just raised our 10th round of funding. We haven't made a single dime ever, but oh my God, guys, we just got a $50 billion valuation. Holy shit. And like, and we got Andreessen Horowitz to give us, $250 million, like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. I was seduced by it. I was sucked in. Like, that was, the podcast that I listened to. Oh my God. Like, you want to talk about the learning that I did before? How I built this podcast. I listened to it religiously. Like, I mean, it was like, at least almost every day in the car to and from work every single day, like I would listen to how I built this. And then if I had any other time in the middle of the day, I would try to do another episode or something like that. I mean, I still like the podcast because I like stories and they're great stories and everything. But that was the stuff that I was finding beautiful in my life, beforehand. But to your question before is, how do you shift that? I mean, honestly, like, I don't think that anything, and I'm not saying that I want that, like, because this is a very delicate topic, right? Like where my life is today versus what I'm describing to you before. There's a huge hole that took away my daughter, that turned the direction into another direction, right? Like, I don't want that to happen to me or to anybody. So I'm not saying that. I don't know. We've had this debate, you and I, forever about what you see as beauty in this world changed, because you basically have to kill off everything you found as beautiful before, right? I mean, it's all got to go away.
Well, I think there's a thought of beauty and the real beauty. Because if I were to continue down that path, like if you continue down the path of your VC funding in your company, eventually you will find that exhaustion.
Right.
And so to me, there is a fine line between what you thought was beauty and what real beauty really is to you.
That's true.
And I think like we eventually, when, like I say, there is a certain limit to how much willpower a person have. Some people have more, some people have less. But when you do something that you thought is beauty, will eventually exhaust your sources of willpower.
Yep.
Because to a person, like when they do the VC funding, they may go, okay, I do this 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, then I retire. There's a reason why they wish for the day when they cash out.
Somebody actually, they asked me that at that indie pickleball club meeting with their board of directors. One of them asked me, after we were already like way deep into the conversation, they were like, I'm just kind of curious, what's your exit strategy here? And I go, I don't have an exit strategy. It's like I don't want to sell this place. Like, why would I'm successful and I like pickleball. I enjoy making money for my family at the same time, and I like being around that culture and those people, like, why would I want to sell that? I'm going to build this thing up to 1,000 members and then I'm going to go, sell it off
Senora.
for $12 million, and then go retire on a beach in Mexico and drink Mai Tais. Like, and never play pickleball ever again. And like that, that's not going to be the case. I'll probably just, if I did sell it, I would probably be like,
What's the point of building it if you don't enjoy the fruit of your labor? I mean, that's my point is, that's what I'm saying is there is a really like downside. But I'm saying is the true beauty will continue to give you energy, and to me that's a subtle difference between what you conditioned to think and what you really think. And for us, we get to the point where we exhaust all of our willpower reserve. Like because you have to. I mean, talking about you are thrown into the NICU during COVID, right? I mean, everything to pile on you. So you had to reuse all of your willpower, and you get to the point where you have completely depleted that willpower. So any kind of rosy glass you wore, it got to be broken. It got to be taken down. And when you were taking down your rosy glasses, you start to see the real world. And the real world, the eyes, the beauty is in eye beholder, is the real thing that you see. Same thing for me is I continue to push forward and push forward and push forward in this entrepreneurship, company creations and all these things. Eventually, I just don't feel like my health, right? Because I told you my health declines so much, like it becomes unbearable.
Yep.
And I said, why am I doing any of these for? Every day, all day, some kind of a human drama that I have to deal with, and I don't like it, and that is just eating me. I mean, I'm lucky I don't have an ulcer. I'm lucky I don't get cancer from it. I mean, only I eat too much and eat bad food, and I got diabetes. But
that's not an only. That's a big thing. I mean,
it took a toll on me, on my body physically, but also mentally. And eventually, all of my willpower is exhausted, and so completely, I cannot continue to wear that rosy glass anymore. So I have to take it off. And when I take it off, I look at what are the real things that make me feel comfortable and at peace with myself and feel like I'm happy and enjoy the existence of myself. Right. Most of the time, your existence of yourself is comfortable. But if you think about the future, it becomes uncomfortable because you get all anxiety and all the things and all the chemical in your body start to produce to compensate for this feeling that you have. And I think that's a big difference in terms of, when you have been conditioned to see the world in a certain light, then the exploitations of those centuries is fake.
Oh man, like you're triggering all kinds of memories of I remember the first like couple months that I came back to work at Salesforce after we lost Amelia, and after I spent a few months on bereavement leave and came back, and I just remember the conversations that people were having about these so important conversations with everything was so important. Like we're talking really important numbers with like important people, and we're taking people out to dinner. We're worried about pipeline and and how the company is gonna be perceived in the public markets and blah 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 blah. And I was like, I swear to you, I was just like, this is not important. This is almost comical how dumb we sound thinking. And I was like,
everything sounds fake.
Right.
Sound made up and sound fake because like, who make up these stupid numbers? What it has to do with life?
It doesn't have anything, and they take it so seriously too. Like and they've convinced themselves
they would throw people on the bus to make the numbers.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is and they've
somebody just make up the numbers, and they wouldn't throw anyone on the bus to make numbers.
It's harder to get in. It's harder to get a job here than it is to get into Harvard. The acceptance rate is actually like 1.3%, and Harvard's is like 3% or whatever the hell it is, or something like that, right? And you're like, well, okay, we all must be pretty exclusive. Like we all must be pretty doing something right to be able to work at a company like this and to be able to, to have all the benefits that we have and have all the.
I think we can also say that we as a company have even a low acceptance rate than Salesforce.
That's very true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You think about it.
Yeah.
It's perspectives.
We don't even take applications these days,
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not true, but I mean, no, I guess it is kind of true because we're not. Honestly, side note.
If you accept 0 out of 1, what is the percentage rate?
No,
bullshit number. It's all fake. It means nothing.
I agree. All of it. It was just so eye-opening. And I remember writing about this in the book too. You know, the first couple of times I hung out with some of my friends that were like auxiliary friends of mine, you know, they were like, they weren't like super close friends, but like they were close friends. Good, let's call them great acquaintances, right? People that I've known for a really long time that are good people, but like the conversations that I remember having with these people when I'm like, what are we fucking talking about? Like, what, what are we talking about? Like, this is, who gives a shit? Like, you know, like this is stupid. Like, I don't want to waste my time having this conversation with you. Like, it is a waste. Like, I think that's probably one of the biggest things of when you start to, like, as what you're describing, like humans can be duped, you know, to go down a road that they don't even know is the right road. I think bees, to your point, they're whatever the right road is they're supposed to do, like a beaver must dam. No, them being attracted to go damming is what they're supposed to do. You know, I mean, like they don't really like what
It's
they're
hard to
making.
distract them because they don't have the ability to adapt, you know. So they
Right,
say, I
right,
have
right.
only one track mind, so I'm looking for water, I'm looking to build a dam. A bee
Right.
said, hey, I'm looking for flower and I'm looking for nectar. That's all I'm doing. You can't
Hey,
really distract them. But for
I
human beings,
guarantee you will find beauty in the Salesforce ecosystem if you work in it long enough and you're going to go, hey, you know, yeah, it's all right. Like I make good money. I've been able to work with a lot of really successful companies, and I feel like we've made an impact on some cool projects. You know, made a dent in the universe. You know, like look what we've done at Salesforce. I mean, there's 80,000 people that have really good, high-paying jobs and
I
take care
mean,
of
you
their family.
basically enable companies to sell me shit that I don't need.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's really what we do. You
You
know?
just enabling companies to sell me more shit that I don't need.
Yep. I mean, but that's really
That
at its
is
core.
that your dent in the universe. That's what you do. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, your dent in the universe.
Yep. I guess where I was going with that was exactly what you just said. You can convince humans have the ability to convince themselves even stuff that we don't even care about is beautiful in some way, shape, or form. And then the world opens up and it starts to show us more and more opportunities of things that we think are beautiful. But this is the central thesis of clubbing. Most of the time, what we think we care about isn't what we actually care about because we never spend the time thinking about what we actually care about. Like that is the central underlying core thesis of clubbing is spend the time to get to know yourself. If you're going to lead anybody, you need to know how to lead your fucking self first, right? And you can't lead yourself unless you know yourself, you know, and then when you go walk that path, other people will go, oh, that person really knows themselves. I want to follow that person, right? Because that's what a leader is, right? Somebody
But
that
I
knows
think leadership is a
are.
myth.
The only person you can lead is yourself. No, I don't think it's a myth when it comes to other people. When it comes to other people, I don't think it's a myth when it comes to yourself. Like, but you can't lead yourself unless you know yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to do the work to figure out who you are and what you like and what you care about and why you want to be here and why you don't want to be here. And then tie all that together, then go down that road every single day. And then the universe will open up in front of you and you'll find, you know, things all and people all day long that are going down the same road that you're going down, but it feels good. And it feels genuinely like that you're going in the direction that you want to go because you know that's who you are. A lot of people go to Salesforce just because they think it's an exclusive company. A lot of people go to Harvard just because they think that, well, you know, I should go to Harvard. Like people say that it's important. Like I should go to Harvard. I doubt that there's very many people that go to Harvard that apply. They even apply to go to Harvard. They go, I'm going to Harvard because this is the place that did. I can't even think of a reason why Harvard would be. I want to be a nanotechnology, blah, blah, blah.
Biotechnology is invented in Kansas State University.
There you go. I don't know the reason why I specifically would need to go to Harvard, but maybe there is somebody out there that's like a teenager that understands themselves so well. They're like, I specifically need to go to Harvard because they have the best people and community
It's like
that does
carbon 60.
this. You know,
Carbon 60. Who discovered carbon 60? Robert Curry, Rice University.
oh, there you go. Hey.
Right?
Oh, I got an example of somebody that should go to Harvard is Colin Jost. Do you know Colin Jost? You know SNL, Saturday Night Live? He's the
You
married to
think?
Johansson. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. The one.
The punchable face. Yeah, Colin Jost. Right. So he went to Harvard and he basically didn't even study at all when he went to Harvard because he joined the Harvard Lampoon. That was what he wanted to do his whole life. He was like, when he was growing up, he was like, I want to write about comedy and I want to go to Harvard because I want to get into the Harvard Lampoon and I want to be around those people so I can help my comedy writing career. Okay, that actually made sense. Like he knew himself, he knew what he really liked, and he found a community of people that really enjoyed that. And look what he's doing now, and he seems to be pretty happy with what he's doing. You know, the point being is like that's a great example of somebody that went to Harvard for probably the right reasons. It had nothing to do with education at Harvard. It was a subset, small community of people that he knew that he could go find there that lived their lives and talked about the stuff that he cared about, right? That's the reason why you should go to Harvard. And nobody would ever
I mean,
say
everything has its purpose. I mean, so if you understand yourself, then you can apply a specific purpose to what aligns with you. But my point of bringing it up is that we are conditioned to follow and be exploited by these sensories without even knowing what makes sense to us, what aligns with us.
right.
And that's the sad part, is you don't see that until you exhaust all of your willpower. And by that time, you have been in too deep. You have spent too much time, chasing a thing you shouldn't be chasing.
Agreed. Why did I work in the high-tech industry, True?
Because you live in a high-tech area.
I think I thought you could make a lot of money. It seemed like these people had fun doing their job, and I liked doing some of these things. That's probably about it. I mean, I don't think there was no intentionality behind it, right?
I mean, you can probably make more money owning a club than work at Salesforce. It's just that no one told you that.
I know,
no
right?
one told you that. People say, hey, go work Salesforce, you make more money.
Well, the thing is, to get a job at Salesforce, you don't spend $300,000 on a build out to go make money, right? Like you just hopefully got to rise up in the ranks, and then you get an opportunity to go work at Salesforce. So there's no upfront cost to getting a job at Salesforce, right? Like, so it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll see.
Well,
If
neither is getting a pickleball club up and running. It's not your money.
Well, that's true.
Well, right? No, you borrow from your dad, right?
Not all of it's my money.
I'm just saying, it's not your money.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is my money, but
you gotta get another one from your uncle. Have you even asked your uncle?
No, I haven't even asked. I haven't asked anybody.
You know what?
This is I told
you.
So
don't tell me you need.
Asked one investor outside of my, well, he's in my personal network, but like I only asked one person, one person, hey, do you want to do this? This is how much money I need. And they were like, yeah. I knew who to ask. Like, I knew exactly who to ask, right?
But my point is, you didn't need it. You didn't need to put out your own money.
Well, I did put my own money into a big chunk because I had to, but I didn't have to.
You didn't have to. You didn't have to put it on the money. So don't say that you have to have a bunch of money to start a pickleball club.
That's true. All right.
It's probably easier for you to go and get some money for the $350,000 bill out than to get a job at Salesforce.
It was.
It probably take you more work too.
This is exactly what I was about ready to say. Do you know what High Alpha does? You remember High Alpha, the company?
High Alpha, yeah.
Does the VC, studio, incubator, I guess, if you will. Do you know how much money that High Alpha gives you if you get accepted into their if they anoint you as the CEO and they pair you up with the CTO? Do you know how much money they give you?
$5K?
I think it's like $350.
$350? Okay.
Yeah. And that goes to include in your salary, your CTO salary, basically. And then they give you the infrastructure of like HR services and like office space and whatever. I think you rent it from them for like $10,000 a month or something like that. So like, you don't have to necessarily take on, it's basically two co-founders and a year's worth of runway. It may be $500,000. I can't remember exactly what it is, but either way, it's not much more than what we're talking about right now. And like, to get to do that.
When you build a pickleball club, there's a physical asset that is giving people value.
Oh, yeah.
For $350,000 for two fucking dudes to sit there and say, "Oh, I'm thinking about some blah blah blah." Like,
that's pretty much what it is.
You're not providing any value. But if you have a pickleball club, people actually, hey, there's a place we can go play, right? You actually have physical value right then out the gate.
Right.
I mean, and like I say, it's probably gonna take you more work to even apply and figure out how to pitch to the High Alpha company to get you into the fucking thing and have to compete
you have a pedigree to even apply. Like, you know what I mean? You have to have like a serious pedigree, for them to even consider you having success running your own venture. Because you got to know the industries really well. It's got to be an idea that matters to you. It's got to
I can make more money by owning a bubble tea. You know bubble tea?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those guys making $300,000 profit.
That's right. So like, but that's the thing.
I mean, you go and you get, hey, I'll fucking own a Popeyes franchise. That's like $2 million. I go open a Jackson Hewitt tax filer. It's $1.5 million a year and working 3 months.
Yep.
Right. And for you to go to High Alpha, it take you like, oh, you fucking need a pedigree. And you have to spend like so number of years with so number of experience, and that's two fucking guy.
Right.
$350 for two fucking guy. Plus you have to pay rent.
I think you get office space because they have office space.
Someone had to pay for it.
Well, the high alpha does. I mean, it just comes with
Okay.
but either way, the point is what we're getting at is like, it's so hard to go get a
You just
VC.
made it hard.
You just made it hard, right? Right. We're going down a rabbit hole. All right. I'm cutting this one off because it's late and I asked for a 10 o'clock hard stop. We are 17 minutes past that.
I say it up to you.
I know. I knew it was going to happen, but you know, we're good. All right. Let's put a pin on this.
You can always hope. Always dream.
So the question we can leave with everybody is, how has your world changed to reveal something beautiful that you didn't even know existed? You know, and keep your eyes open, right? Figure out if what you do is attractive to you today is actually attractive to you.
Beauty, rosy glass.
Right. Not what you think matters. Know what you know.
Right.
Thanks for joining, and we will see you all tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Good night, everyone.